Now, we always begin with the mystical syllable Om. And as I said last week, this Om is the sound of the Prana, the sound of the life force, the sound of the Shakti, the feminine aspect of creation. It's important to understand that Om is Prana, is the life force that fills, that certainly fills our dimension, that fills all creation. Increasingly, I was listening to Rupert Sheldrake in a talk given years ago, and increasingly, cutting edge thinkers are understanding the universe as an organism, the universe not in mechanical, a Newtonian, materialistic term, but the universe as an organism, a living being connected by organic, natural processes. And so we're talking about the prana, the life force, as Ardhanarishvara. So Shiva is often depicted as both male and female, as both the transcendent and the eminent. And the transcendent aspect is typically called Shiva, and the eminent aspect is called Shakti. So here you see Shiva masculine on the left and feminine, I'm reversing, masculine on the right and feminine on his left. And again here, masculine, feminine, Nandi the bull, and lion, the vehicle of Durga, the feminine, the white and the green, color of nature. And this makes the point that Shiva and Shakti, the transcendent and the eminent, are one and they're inseparable. But for the purpose of our understanding, we separate them in our understanding that Shiva for me represents tamas guna and the evolutionary currents that are like a lingam that lift the energy up from the earth to return to the source. That Shiva is this force of levitation that's lifting us up out of the density of the earth to return us home to the knowledge of our divinity. So Shiva rules tamas guna, which means to perish. Shiva is the destroyer, and tamas guna is the point in the cycle. Energy is always moving from the source out into the field, returning to the source. Energy is always breathing in inspiration and then expiration, dying to the moment and being reborn from the source in the next breath. That everything that is are these waves of the life breath of a living universe, that this living universe is breathing life into you, unfolding its creative potency, and that you and I and everyone are the cutting edge of the unfolding of the creative potency. Indeed, we are all the embodiment of the Shakti, of this life force. One of the keys that I've been emphasizing is that energy is, that life is self-creating, that the definitive characteristic of life is that it is self-generating, self-sustaining, self-creating. So if we are to understand energy, we have to understand that the essence of life force energy is this capacity to self-create. The sage Umberto Maturana tells us here that living systems are cognitive systems, and living is a process of cognition. Maturana is a leading biologist, was a leading biologist. He's dead now. And so living systems are cognitive systems. Living is a process of cognition. And he states this as a biologist. This statement is valid for all organisms with or without a nervous system. As Dr. Stone, the brilliant Dr. Stone, the founder of polarity therapy, gave the name to this system of energy medicine, polarity, which describes the foundation of the breath, which is a cycle of polarity, a cycle of expansion and contraction, a cycle of exhalation and inhalation, in respiration, spire, spiritus, the breath, the root of the word spire, and respiration, inspiration, expiration is this word spiritus, the breath. That in a living universe, everything that moves is the spiraling life breath of a living universe. Now, here we're looking at our archetypal energy field of energy moving from the field into the source and returning to the field. And of course, this is happening at the speed of light. The energy fields are always a dynamic process of homeostasis, a dynamic process of self-correction. An energy field, every energy field is a state, and it's self-creating that state, and it's self-defining that state of homeostasis. It's definitive, it's characteristic, a state of homeostasis. And what we're ultimately saying is an energy field is a feedback loop of intelligence. That every dimension of the energy that is maintaining the homeostasis is in this feedback loop. And this process of interacting with our environment consciously and learning from that to maintain our homeostasis is the essence of intelligence. If we define intelligence as the ability to learn, every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organic process is essentially taking an input from its environment and self-correcting. So we can call this learning. So this happens at the speed of life. And so this recursiveness at the speed of light is what we call intelligence. That energy is intelligence. That energy fields are fields of intelligence. Now, something that's really fascinating about this intelligence is this intelligence is infinitely recursive.
Notice how this spiral of golden mean, if we see it from above, going down a cone, and then rotated it to the side, begins to look like the tongue of a serpent there. Hence this term serpent power. And later we're going to revolve this form into something we call the Grail cup. This is reminiscent of how it is that we get this recursion from the large world into the small, idealized by this golden mean spiral. So we can take this spiral now. This is one spiral seen from 4 views. The top left is a top view, and then to the right we have a side view. Bottom left is another side view, and bottom right is an oblique view. And then we begin to revolve this spiral, and we get a cup shape. This cup is infinitely recursive. We could zoom into it for First, let's turn it around to see the different viewpoints of the cup. Now we see that we could zoom in and we'd see a cup, inside a cup, infinite. We'd always see the same thing. This is the essence of what is self-embedded. The definition of consciousness is recursion, and the sense of the term fractal. Till by turning and turning we come round right. Sense here is that that light cone going down concentric dodecahedron 60 degree, which we use to ratchet into this form, the Grail cup, is the same dodeca that ratchets to make DNA, so that really it is the genetic material itself that was referred to mythically as the cup of the Grail that holds the light, the memory, because it is the idealization of the path for this recursion. So that the gene pool itself is this recursive embedded cup that allows us to catch the light with what flows like lightning in our very bloodstream. The cup.
Infinite recursiveness. That atoms can nest within molecules, can nest within cells, can nest within tissue, can nest within the breath of the organism, can nest within the breath of the nature and the planet can nest within the breath of the solar system, which can nest within the breaths of the galaxy in a process of infinite recursiveness and in a universal process of intelligence, a universal process of consciousness. But I was hoping to see this turning and turning and turning to show you the infinite recursiveness of the fields, how the larger fields nest into the small, spiral into the smaller fields, and the smaller fields are spiraling out into the larger fields in an infinite process. That's we were attempting to demonstrate, illustrate how energy always moves from the source into the field in a highly organized expression, which is the golden ratio spiral. Again, thinking of your body as a field of energy, it was created within the rhythms of the vibratory field of the life breath of a living universe. It's made of the vibratory rhythms of the life breath of a living universe, and it's sustained on molecular and atomic levels by the life breath of a living universe. That this very, very exact and harmonious life breath is able to spiral down to every atom of the body to give it life and to sustain life. That the body is essentially a tuniverse that is attuned to the harmonics of the life force and has been created and is sustained by these harmonics. We call these harmonics earth, traditionally, is the keynote which sustains the field of solidity. Water, the keynote which sustains the field of life. Fire, the keynote of the active and transformational energy, the working energy in the body. Air, the energy of the nervous system and the feedback mechanism of the body. And this all takes place in a field of ether, which mediates between the microcosm and the macrocosm, that mediates within the spiraling dynamics within and the spiraling dynamics without. So the beauty of this is that the life breath of a living universe is profoundly, profoundly, profoundly harmonious and powerful, can you just stop for a moment, just contemplate the incredible harmony that your body is, and the incredible harmony that nature is, and the incredible harmony that the cosmos is. They can predict where the stars will be 10,000 years from now. They can predict an eclipse hundreds of years from now, down to the nanosecond, that the universe is so profoundly harmonious and predictable in that harmony. And that same harmony is spiritus, spiritus, the life breath that's spiraling down to maintain every atom and molecule and cell. So the point we're making today is a very fundamental point, a really important and profound point, that energy is intelligence, that this omnipresent, I want to call it God, this omnipresent creator, that we're saying that the being, Brahman, manifest in time and space through Brahma, an ever-evolving breath, a breath that fills all space. And this evolutionary force is the Shakti, and that Shakti is Prana. So in polarity therapy, we work with Prana. We work with the life force of a living universe. And the purpose of our work is always to reconnect the field with its source, to using essentially the charisma, the grace, the magnetism of sattva guna, which is again the organizing intelligence. Sattva is being. That sattva is the force of equilibrium in nature. Let's stop for a moment and look at the breath, and to understand the dynamics of the breath here in this class in mantra yoga. The breath is a spiraling field of force. So here's an attempt. Let's say if I were here breathing, we're talking about all the dimensions of that breath, from microcosm to macrocosm, that are spiraling out in a fabric, in a field of yang and yin, and that the breath is spiraling from the atomic and molecular, and this field is a fabric from microcosm to the macrocosm of the breath. And part of the power and beauty of the incredible harmony and majesty of this creation, the profound intelligence, that at each point, the expanding and contracting breaths meet the two fields of sound, the two fields of ultrasound, balance each other out, cancel each other out in a point of stillness, a still point of sattva guna. That in the movement of every atom, every molecule, every cell, as the fields are nested within each other, as the breath spirals from microcosm to macrocosm, and as the fields interact, as rajas and tamas interact. So as the field from heaven to earth and the field from earth to heaven interact, as rajas and tamas interact, there's a still point of sattva. So every point of interaction between the expanding and contracting breath, there's a still point of sattva and self-correction that is one with the infinite heart of the universe, the omnipresent heart of the universe. So we're talking about prana as the basic fabric of the universe, prana as a fabric of intelligence, prana ultimately as a living atomic and molecular flow. Again, the body is said to be made up of 5 pranas, which in this case means 5 winds, 5 breaths, which traditionally we called ether, air, fire, water, and earth. So as we've been saying, energy is cyclical, moving from the source to the field and returning to the nucleus. Now, at the square of its distance from the nucleus, the energy drops down in 5 steps to create the harmonics of air, fire, water, and the earth elements. At the core, we're talking about ether, neutral, and then as the field breathes, it breathes through 5 steps, dropping in vibration from spirit to matter. So the core is ether predominant, then air predominant, then fire predominant, then water predominant, then earth predominant. And the same way, it steps up in vibration in each cycle. So we're looking at Nada Brahma, again, the creator as sound vibration. And we understand everything is vibration, and we're saying that this vibration is the omnipresence of the intelligence of the universe that spirals down to sustain every atom, molecule, and cell. And the beauty of this system is every atom is God. Every atom is self-creating, that in order for this to work, every atom needs the freedom to maintain its homeostasis in its cybernetic process. Every molecule is birthed in freedom and responsibility to maintain its homeostasis. Every cell is birthed in freedom to maintain its homeostasis. And then it is nested into a larger whole, which again, it cooperates with and maintains its freedom with. So we're seeing we're being very anthropomorphic here, because it is exactly the same consciousness, exactly the same intelligence in the macrocosm. Let's hope that are you seeing that illustration? Did I do a screen share of it? Okay, here we go. So that's exactly the same intelligence. This is all Nada Brahma. The stuff of creation, Shakti, Prana, is Nada Brahma, is the world as vibration, is Brahma is this breath, this ever-evolving breath that fills all space. Nada is vibration. So everything that vibrates as the life breath of the living universe, everything that vibrates is divine intelligence. And in the macrocosm, the same divine intelligence is what we experience from moment to moment as lucidity. So it's exactly the same intelligence as the cognizance, the lucidity, the presence in you. So we call this therapeutic presence because this awareness, this consciousness of the nature of presence, the nature of your lucidity, and the power of sattva guna that you can cultivate, and the power that inheres in that presence is a therapeutic essence and a key, one of the keys to your power and effectiveness as a therapist is this knowledge. So thoughts or questions as we contemplate Nada Brahma, the universe as a living, breathing, conscious organism, who on every level is intelligence. Understand that this field of intelligence that we call your mind somehow takes all of this elaborate sensory input, this amazing fabric of vibration from the eye, that the eyes turn into sight, or the neural process associated with eyes turns into sight. The neural process associated with hearing turns into hearing, that turn into space, and all of this interdimensionality that you take for granted in this world is all a very elaborate dance of psychic physics, involving cognitive and neural processes. So this is an amazing, amazing intelligence. Maybe it's creating it that way. Maybe it's simply a play of consciousness. This is a great and mysterious thing, which is easy to imagine. The imagining sounds almost like science fiction, and a great and wondrous mystery. Thoughts or questions as we contemplate energy in the healing arts?
Yeah, I have a question.
Turn up the volume so I can hear you.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So it's a fantastic, incredible intelligence that self-corrects itself, and it has the knowledge to be in homeostasis. Then how and why is there so much disorder in people? How is dis-ease created if this homeostasis is self-correcting? I mean, all the time. It's just it's innate and inherent knowledge to do this.
Yes, yes, excellent question. And the answer to that has to do with each of us being the personification of the dynamics of the universe. And so those dynamics, some of us have a more sattvic dharma, or at times in our life, a more sattvic dharma. But part of this vast macrocosm of self-creation is it's creating all possibilities and somehow harvesting from that a deeper, possibly, only from this dimension of experience. So there's a level in which the intelligence is spinning out all these possibilities, and then we're saying your dharma is to be present in that. So each of us is a unique expression of the dynamics of the universe and of the vast possibilities, which include disharmonies. So we all have all this karma to work out as a unique personification of possibility. Actually, the amazing thing is it isn't crazier or more chaotic than it is. There's so much goodness in all of us, and even the most distorted and perverse expressions are attempts to love and misguided attempts for power to make us lovable, or expression to make us lovable. That there's a tremendous love even behind the most perverse, these accumulating vast amounts of money are rooted in developmental trauma, where we felt unlovable and inadequate, and vast amounts of power are rooted in a narcissism that's rooted in tremendous sense of inadequacy from not being loved. I can think of the biggest narcissist in our culture at this time, and the way his father treated him. He could never be good enough as he faced his father. And so he's again madder and madder with his narcissism, not to name any names of prominent narcissists of our time. But did that make any sense, that we're spinning out all possibility? And thank goddess it's not crazier and more bizarre than it is. The other problem is freedom, because the goddess, this is the self-sacrifice of the goddess, that she gave herself to this creation. The problem is each of us is too powerful, that we've been given freedom in our life and freedom in our domain. And so in our ignorance, we do some, we're all so deeply ignorant, and it's such a slow process to grow. And some of us never get beyond the trauma of our childhood fixations. So in our freedom and in our empowering divinity, we've been given much more power than we can handle.